Tim, where have you seen the biggest jump from Jordan? You saw him at spring ball, back to home 100%, but now having the full off season, where do you see the biggest jump right now in training camp for him?
Just see the game is slowed down for him, so he can play fast. He's seeing it quicker. So he had a chance to go through the spring and then the preparation throughout the summer. He's able to process things really fast, see formation, see splits, and being able to diagnose plays real good. So been pretty good with his eyes.
Do you think that's a result of him just having another year in Jim's system, in your system, or is it year 2 with you, or is it just athleticism?
Well, it's just understanding the defense, knowing what the formations are dictating, and then being able to apply it pre-snap. So now he's able to, beat guys to the spot instead of just play routes, because he kind of have a feel for what's coming. Just because, like I said, he's been playing good with his eyes and he got a really good understanding of the scheme and of
It seems like everybody is very confident in Denzel. You guys on the inside have just as much confidence in Jordan, it seems. Denzel's shown it on the field yet. Jordan, we haven't seen as much on the field. Where does that confidence come from that you guys know Jordan's going to be able to excel?
Because we go against pretty good guys that practice every day. I mean, the dudes that we're going against, 18, 2, 4, all those guys are 10, veteran guys that have played. So, that's where you get your evaluation from.
Sorry, Bill. Coach, can you scoot up to the mic?
Yep.
Audio guy gets precedent on this one. Thank you.
You've got Denzel, Jordan, and Davison, all 3 starting caliber players. How much do you foresee rotating them? How do you think that's going to shake out? Or are you not even concerned about that?
No, I'm not concerned about it right now. We're still early. We're just trying to evaluate. We're trying to see where guys fit best, what guys can do, what their strengths are, what things they need to improve on. And we'll get more into that stuff when we get, a couple closer to game time. Right now, we're just trying to see where guys fit, what they can handle, and what do they bring to the secondary.
How confident are you that any of those 3 will be perfectly fine?
Yeah, those 3 guys will be good, but we got other guys too. We got Jair. We got a lot of guys that are playing well, that has a good feel for this thing and have been very productive for us. So we got a good group of guys, and we got some young guys that's doing well. So we're just trying to see what they do and try to sort it out and just make sure we got them in the right place.
What's the concept behind Jordan training at nickel right now? Because he was someone that you guys talked about last year about how much you missed him, just having him at outside corner. But what's kind of the concept between also trying him?
Smart, understands, man. We're trying to create positions where we can put guys in the best spot that can help us. So we're just moving guys around and seeing he's a smart guy. He can handle a lot of football. He has a high IQ. He sees the game well. So we just moving guys around and just see, different things that they can help if we need it.
Can you quantify percentage-wise the progress Davison has made in y'all's system from the spring? And what do you see out there that's different from him from the spring?
He's more comfortable right now. Obviously he was a competitor when he got here. He competes, but he's having an understanding of where to be, alignments, splits, formations. Now he knows the job description. So now he's able to process it and utilize it.
Is there some savvy about him that you've noticed? Because he started 10 games or whatever in the SEC last year. Does he have some savvy to him?
Yeah, he has some football IQ. He has some instincts. He's played the game. So he understands what it is to play high-level football. So he can process it. It was just learning the terminology, learning the new verbiage, learning where he fits on certain plays. Now he's starting to, the spring and the summer under his belt. And, first week or so of camp. So now that's all coming together for him. So we like where he's at this point.
Tim, last year you guys talked about how much you missed Jordan, like you said. What does a healthy Jordan Hancock bring you that maybe you missed last year?
He brings us a lot of versatility. He has a lot of options. We can move him around. We can put him at different spots. So when you have that flexibility with a guy, it just allows us to be able to do what we want on the back end when you have guys that can handle that information.
What have you seen so far from Calvin? Just the first 2 years of his career.
He can run. He's tough. He can run. But he just got here. So he's going to catch up with some things, but he's going to be good, man. I like his physicality. His good size. He can compete. He can run. He's just catching up on some things right now just because of a little bit of a missed time this spring.
Other than Jordan, are there other guys cross-training at nickel too?
Yeah, man, we got a lot of guys doing it. I try to have, I have 3 or 4 guys in the room that I'm training to do that. What happens in football, man. You got guys get injured, you got things that come up, you have to move guys around, you got matchups. So we just train guys to try to be ready for that when that situation comes. So yeah, we got a lot of guys that's kind of learning that.
Is Davison somebody you'd cross me? Because he's a bigger corner too and all.
Yeah, possibly. You know what I mean? We just kind of have them learning, and we just kind of, it's all based on situations and when the need is for it. So we just kind of cross-teach guys so they can just learn the game of football. Obviously, when you can learn what other positions are doing, it helps you with your primary position, so it helps escalate your learning curve.
Tim, if you have a corner who maybe loves to play press man and get up on guys, and maybe another corner who feels like he's really good in off coverage and breaking on balls, do you try to take that into account at all in what you call to set them up?
Always. And we try to put them in a position of their strength, and then, but we also try to teach them situational football, so they got to work on also the things that they may not be as strong at, because what happens is they can get caught in a lot of different situations where they have to do that. So we just don't allow them to play to their strength all the time. We have to work on those things that teams will try to attack, because, you know, like anything, when people know your strength, they try to attack your weakness or something you're not as good at. So we try to make sure we put them in those positions as well to work on them, because that's what happens in the game of football with tempo, with motions, with all those things that creates you having to get down, you know what I mean, or creates you having to be off with splits and stuff like that. So you gotta teach both because it's gonna have to be applied at points during the game.
Is that pretty typical of the corners you've coached, that maybe they do have a preference? Some guys just love press man?
Yeah, if we do, but you know, like anything, like, you know, when I was in the league for a while, when you get a guy like, for example, you catch a big corner like Jalen who likes to put hands on guys, well, what do? They get guys moving all the time to get you off the ball and get you not being able to get down on it. They reduce the splits, so now you have to get off. So they're gonna create those scenarios by formation shifts and motions to get you in that. So you have to work on it, because offense can dictate alignment sometimes.
Being in the second year of the system, you know your players, you know Jim knows the scheme better. Are there any schematic changes that you've made to try to align what you guys want to do and what your players' skill sets are?
Yeah, we tweaking everything. You know what I mean? You have to be ever evolving back there, man. You know what I mean? If you're doing the exact same thing that you did last year, people gonna catch up to you. So you have to always make sure you're tweaking and adjusting and evolving to make sure you're giving different looks and you changing things to put it in the best situation for us and keep the other team off guard. So
Denzel was reminded that cornerbacks didn't have any interceptions last year. It was like, we talk about it every day.
That's changing. You can tell now we're going to touch the ball. So you can see that's changing. That's gone.
Tim, you talked about. I asked you that at Peach Bowl about not having any interceptions, and you said that it was kind of random. Like, interceptions can be a little random. So
It's all random. And like you said, I've been coaching for a while, man. As you start to go through it all based on opportunities with balls. You know, you can hit a streak at times where balls are not in a position where you are able to get your hands on a lot of them. It wasn't like a lot of drops. It wasn't like missed opportunities. It was like sometimes the ball is not in this situation. I've doing this for a lot of years. Sometimes that happens. Now, it has to be more than that, because you've got to go create them. You know, you have to go create them. So that's the mindset we on now, is trying to go create the turnover, but you got to do it within the confinements of the scheme.
That's a very defined stat, though, 0 interceptions. How do you make sure that you preach that to guys, like, hey, we got to get our hands on more footballs?
You don't worry about that. You go play the game.
Okay.
You don't worry about that. You don't play the game. You know what I mean? You go play the game. Every year's a different year. Every game's a different game. So you don't worry about that. You know what I mean? You just go play. It'll come. You know what I mean? So I go back to that just because of the fact, as you start to go through it, like I said, I can start showing you situations of doing it for a long time where it goes streaks of that happening, and then sometime it comes in spurts, and then it is situations based on where the ball is getting placed on a lot of things. So that's all different. But you control that as each day and each game goes on with that.
Tim, back in the spring, Noel was talking about how maybe there's a bit of a mindset shift in the cornerback room when you're going up against Ohio State's wide receivers. And maybe last year when they would beat guys, it's okay, it's Marvin Harrison, it's Emeka Egbuka. They're supposed to do that. Do that to everybody. You're not going to see that around the country. But maybe you saw that also kind of shift into the season, even when you weren't going up against those guys sometimes with our competitive guys. Where have you seen a maybe mindset shift, not necessarily in the coaching staff, but just in the players and how they approach even?
No, they understanding the system. They understand the stuff to do. You know what I mean? So as you start to go through it, they're understanding details. They understand how the stuff is applied. They understand how to go apply it. You know what I mean? So now they're able to play fast. When you're able to play fast, you can go touch the ball more. So that what happens with that now. So now you're able to see it, diagnose it, and you're able to put your hands on the ball a little bit more.
Tim, when it comes to recruiting, obviously you want to keep guys in Ohio, but as the Big Ten expands west, you're adding 4 new programs. Is there an added emphasis on keeping kids here and wanting to make sure you're recruiting Ohio well?
You always got to take care of home. You know what I mean? It's a great state, man, with top recruits. So you always want to get the best players out of this state, man. We got a lot of good history of guys playing well here. So it's a home environment. So guys have had a lot of success. So we have to keep that going.
Tim, just
Last question.
how much better do you feel about this unit now compared to when you did last year, especially after the injuries hit?
Yeah, I feel real good about it because now we've been healthy. You know, guys have been in the system. Guys understand it. So you're developing chemistry, developing unity, camaraderie. So those guys are playing together now. So the communication. You know, people forget last year that it was a lot of injuries. There's a lot of guys in and out. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that goes into effect. I can go through and show you, 5 or 6 different lineup over 12 games. So what happens, you now in the spring, guys are all there, guys all played together, guys all understand it. So now you can see it gel a little bit more.
You've gone against quarterbacks, obviously. What's your impression so far? What you've seen?
Quarterback's good, man. We're in a good situation, so we just like to compete every day with it, man. Guys make throws. It helps us because we're seeing good wideouts and good quarterbacks every day. So hopefully that prepares us. If the guys can go apply it, it should definitely help us when we start the season because we're seeing the best in the country, man, on the other side of the ball in a lot of positions.